In this video, I'm going to show you how to install a 44-inch front blade on a John Deere riding mower. This is an X380, but the blade can also be used with a bunch of other models, so hopefully this video still applies if you have one of these models instead. Now, throughout this video, I will try to show you the corresponding steps in the manual because sometimes these grainy black and white pictures can be kind of hard to see what's going on. I will note that there are some preliminary steps for the first ever setup and installation that I have already done because I reinstall this every year now. So I'm not going to be showing in this video the steps for installing the skid shoes and installing the frame assembly to blade. You can see I've already done that here. And I have also already removed the mower deck. You can see that sitting over there. I have another video on my channel that shows the process of taking that deck off. So if you need to do that first, go check out the link in the description for that video. Here, we're going to get started with the section of the manual for installing the blade itself. Again, we're going to skip tire chains and weights and get right to the part about installing the blade. So, step one, we're going to raise the tractor lift arms all the way up and set the cut knob on the tractor to the lowest position. So the lift arms, these black things under here, when you push down on this pedal, that's going to lift those up. When you pull back on the pedal, it's going to put them down. So you're going to push on the pedal to lift those all the way up. Make sure your lift knob is set to the lowest position, which if you just remove the mower deck is probably already done. And then lower the lift arms by pulling the pedal back by hand and then pull the lock lever to lock the blade in the lowered position. So now I'm going to pull this pedal back by hand, and again that is going to lower the lift arms, so pull the pedal back, lower those, and then pull the lock to lock them in the lowered position. Next, we are going to install the rear weldment C onto the left-hand lift arm by inserting the weld pins D into the corresponding holes on the lift arm E, secure with self-locking cotter pins, and that is referring to the picture above that step in the manual. So if we zoom out and go down here, the rear weldment is this thing. Make sure you get it oriented properly. Note how one side has a notch. That is going to go towards the back of the tractor. And if we slide that under here, you can see how these pins with the self-locking cotter pins, let me see if I can refocus to get it a little brighter, are going to line up with these two holes in the lift arm. So I'm going to need to lift this up, get those pins in there, and then put the self-locking cotter pins back in. I'm going to put the phone down and set up my tripod to see if I can show the process for doing that. Alright, let's see if I can show this here. So I'm going to lift the weldment plate up, slide those pins through the holes on the lift arm. I'm going to watch what's going on the other side there since I'm bashing into the other lift arm. And then this is a little difficult because now the holes for the cotter pins are on the other side and you can't really see them very well. So you might have to kind of use your fingers to feel where those holes are and slide these self-locking cotter pins in. So there I've got one almost in. Smart way to do this would probably be to put some 2x4 blocks or something on the other side to hold this up so it isn't hanging down while you're trying to do this. So I think I'm actually going to pause the video here and go get some blocks to prop that up. So there you see on the other side I just had a piece of scrap wood, so I propped that side up so the whole thing is level while I'm trying to do this. And again, then you just got to reach behind here or maybe even stick your head under there if you're... Okay, there, one just clipped into place. If you really want, you can stick your head in there so you can actually see what you're doing and see where the holes are, but I am just reaching behind and feeling for them. There's one, almost. There we go. So I've got both of those pins in. This side is secure. Now I'm going to go do the other side. So on the other side, we've got align the holes F on the other weldment plate G with the corresponding holes on the right-hand lift arm H. Insert the 12 by 35 millimeter drilled pins through the lift arm and weldment plate and secure with self-locking cotter pins. So that means we've got the weldment plate, we've got the lift arm, we've got these pins that are going to go through those holes once we get them aligned. And then we are again going to lock those in place with the self-locking cotter pins. So in this case, since you have these separate pins, you have the option of placing them with the holes facing outward towards you to make it a little easier to get that self-locking cotter pin in instead of having those facing inward and being unable to see the holes. So there's one. And what do I do with my second one? I'm going to pop this in here from the inside. Again, now the hole is facing out, so it's easier to get that self-locking cotter pin in. And now we have attached the weldment plate to the lift arms. I can remove a piece of wood, and you can see this is now held up. Alright, next up we have step 5, install lift frame. Align hole in lift frame K with hole in front draft assembly L, and install front draft pin M, secure with large 4.5 by 77 millimeter spring locking pin N. So that means we are going to take the lift frame, if I zoom out, which is this thing, and we're going to align that hole with this hole on the front draft assembly. You can see there's a corresponding hole on the other side. We are then going to install this gigantic front draft pin all the way through those holes and lock it on the other side with this spring locking pin. Now, this step can be a little difficult to do alone. You might want some scrap wood, again, to hold this up, or some help from another person. Be careful not to drop this on your fingers, but I am going to lift this up, get those holes in line. Oops, as I bump my tripod here. And here is an interesting problem. You see that this pin is so long that it actually hits the front tire when I try to put it in. So I am going to turn the steering wheel to the right. Double check and make sure I still have a good view on the camera here. Now I can lift that up, get that pin the whole way through. Need to make sure that the holes are aligned on the other side as well. So you can see that got stuck with about an inch left there. I need to go check. Yep, I can see how the holes are a little misaligned on this side. Adjust that and just kind of keep wiggling until you get it the whole way through, or maybe, there we go. Okay, so you can see here, if I zoom in, that pin came through on the other side, and then I'm going to use this self-locking pin to lock that one in place. Or sorry, spring pin, not self-locking pin. There we go. Finally, we have installing the lift link. So we are going to install hole a flattened end of link end O onto hitch arm weld pin P on the inside of the hitch arm. Secure with self-locking cotter pin Q. At the other end of the lift link, adjust lock nut R until swivel boss aligns with hole on rear weldment. Insert boss into hole and secure with provided 3.76 by 85 millimeter spring locking U pin. So the lift link, we zoom out, is this thing. We are going to take this, oh, got really dark, let me see if I can refocus there, and attach it to the inside of this part here. That's a little hard to show, and then the other end is going to attach back there, and then that's what is going to enable you to lift the plow up and down when you push the pedal. So I'm going to try and zoom in here. This is my least favorite part of this entire process, and I don't know if I'm even going to be able to show this on the camera. So install hole of flattened end of lift link. So this is the flattened end that has a hole onto hitch arm weld pin on the inside of the hitch arm. So on the inside of this arm, if I can even get the camera to focus on that, there is a pin there with a hole in it that this self-locking cotter pin is going to go through. And this part, pardon my language, is a huge pain in the ass. Just need to get this in there. It's just kind of hard, easier with two hands. I'm trying to hold my phone so you can see it. Okay, so I got that on. But now, if I can get it to focus again, the camera's not happy about that. You need to get this cotter pin through the hole in there. And this is always difficult just because there's really not a lot of finger space to do this. So maybe some needle nose pliers or something that's going to enable you to push on it to get it through there. I am going to have to put my phone down because I can't, and it keeps going out of focus anyway. I can't do this with just one hand while I'm holding my phone, and there's not really anything good to put my tripod on. But you got to get this cotter pin through that hole to lock the lift link in place. Finally, at the other end of the lift link, you can adjust this lock nut as needed to adjust the position of the swivel boss until it aligns with the hole on the rear weldment. So I have already made that adjustment. Oops, my tripod decides to cooperate here. No, okay, tripod doesn't want to cooperate anymore. Come on. There we go. That's just going to go into that hole. Gonna lock it in place with this pin. And then you are all ready to plow. There we go. Once you're all done with that, you can unlock the lift, and you can now use the pedal to lift the plow up and down. Happy plowing.